one. Welcome, everybody. We are live. This is the Soul and Social. My name is Tarah, and I am here today with my fabulous co-host, Renee. And it's an exciting day. We have Mal Duane here, and her latest book, Broken Open, was just released yesterday, and it went off the charts. It hit international bestseller in Canada, UK, bestseller in the US in self-help, self-esteem. It was absolutely amazing. The book Broken Open, Embracing Heartache and Betrayal as a Gateway to Unconditional Love. Welcome here today, Mal.
Oh, ladies, I am so happy to be back with the two of you. This is going to be fun.
Thank you so much for coming. And congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
We have to do like a happy dance now.
Yeah.
Start the show with like a woohoo, we're celebrating us girls. It's so exciting. Well, we had Mel back on the Canadian Social last fall. We talked about this book coming out. We talked about you coming back on the show, and it was just released. And I know Mel personally. She's a co-author in Shining Courageous Hearts. She's written many other books, and she's been seen all over the place. She's an author, she's an inspirational speaker, she's an intuitive. She's just absolutely amazing. I love her, and I'm so excited to have her here with us today to talk about this book. So thank you so much, everybody joining us. And please comment below where you're from, say hello. We'd be happy to find out more where you're from. So, okay, let's talk about this book, Mal, Broken Open. So can you tell us a little bit about where the inspiration for this book came from and where it started, because it's got a powerful name to the cover, I tell you.
Well, I like to write about real life events, and the greatest challenges I've had in my life have been my best teachers. So I feel that I want to share that wisdom with other women. I want to share those lessons. This particular situation, when I was broken open, heartbroken, just felt like like I had been gutted like an animal. I tried to find resources that would help me heal my broken heart. I went to support groups, meetups, books, but everything was geared towards the other person and their behavior. And there was nothing in there about, hey, what do I do to make myself feel better? And I said, boy, if I can figure this out, I'm going to write about it. We need to have some material about how you really heal a broken heart, because it is a very, very physical condition.
It is. Yeah, it is. I love that. Most people don't realize that a lot of the times too with a broken heart and, those emotions getting stuck in you, it can cause catastrophic health things too. So it's so important emotionally to overcome this kind of stuff. So like from your experience, and we don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details of the broken heart, because I mean, we all have a story and there's always respect for the other person involved because it's a gift, even that box of darkness is a gift. But what are some of the things that you use to overcome a broken heart?
Well, my experience was betrayal in my marriage. And I think that betrayal is maybe the deepest wound a woman can receive. Does a number on us emotionally that nothing else, loss, divorce, all of those things are painful, but betrayal, it just rips you wide open. So my first approach was, how do I deal with this pain? I was so overwhelmed with pain that even getting out of bed was a challenge for me. I'm like, how do I deal with that? Is this ever going to go away? Am I ever going to feel better? And the first thing I realized was I could not push this pain under the carpet, step over it, tuck it away. I was going to have to face this head on and allow the feelings that I was having and allow myself to process that pain and kind of understand what I was going through physically. And if I could understand it, my feeling is if you understand something, you can work with it. If you ignore it, deny it, resist it, it comes back, it bites you in the tail 10 times harder, and it pushes you all the way back to square one.
Yeah.
understanding the pain, just the level of physical discomfort that I was in, but that was okay based on what had happened to me. It was okay to be in pain. It was okay to feel this way. And by allowing myself, it started to dissipate. I could feel every day I was a little bit better. I was a little bit better. And that sharp edge just started to kind of soften. And I was able to do more physically and start to think a little bit more clearly. And that was step one in this whole process.
Yeah.
Well, Mel, you've always, I know meditation is a huge part of your life, and you have gratitude practices and journaling practices. And my understanding is those things were already in place in your life when you went through this experience. So for you to say even just, how much that hurt physically when you're already practicing those things and working on yourself and taking that time of stillness, is that something that you needed to embrace more of on a daily basis, or bring more of into your life to help with the healing process? Or was it just, you just continued on as you did before?
Fabulous question. I don't think that I could have recognized that I needed to allow my feelings and to go in the flow of those feelings if I had not had the practice of meditation, journaling, gratitude, because I wouldn't have been conscious enough to say, Mal, allow yourself this, allow yourself time with this to process. I probably would have done more of a pushback, been more in denial, and I would have put myself probably in a far worse position than where I already was. So I think the meditation practice was absolutely a benefit to me from the get-go, because I have a little bit calmer mind from 30 years of doing this. So my buttons can get pushed, react, ego, along with the best of them, and want to crack your eyes out in a heartbeat. But you know what? It's not too frequent. I'm more mindful. And I think having that mindfulness is what allowed me to go through this process in a way that I saw levels and tiers, and when I say tears, I mean steps that I could take, that I could make myself feel better, that I could make choices that were in my best interest. I immediately pulled back the crazy idea that somebody else's behavior or depending on somebody else to make me feel better or heal was insanity. I think that's a big lesson for women. They think, well, if he does this or if he does that, I'm going to feel better. And if he says he's so, no, it's not going to help you do that. That is just frosting on a really crappy situation. All this work comes from within.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. We're both just like hearts. We love it. We love it. You say it so well always, Mal.
It's amazing, like you're talking about with the gratitude and the journaling, the practice of that, and how simple it really is, but how powerful it can be, and how something so simple can transform the way you look at heartbreak and pain.
Oh, journaling is really having a conversation with your soul.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you get into deep truth. Women don't write and lie to themselves. This is your opportunity to really pour what is in your heart on paper. And then you can look at that and say, whoa, wait a minute. It is one of the most powerful practices for women, regardless of betrayal or heartbreak, just to have for good, solid, conscious, strong living. It's clarity. It's understanding. I love to call it like looking under the hood, like in an automobile. You're looking under the hood. You're figuring out what this engine is, this motor that is driving this vehicle, this sacred temple that holds your soul and your heart. And the way to get there is through meditation and journaling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you go ahead, Tarah.
We do this sometimes.
Yes, we do.
So Mal, you know, they talk about that term, like the dark night of the soul. Oh, we lost Mal. Hang on a second. She's coming back. Little technical glitch.
Keep
3, 2, 1. She's coming. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, Mel, there's that concept of that, like the dark night of the soul. And when you speak of being broken open, do you relate the two kind of together? Yeah. What would you? Oh, go keep talking. Yeah.
Go ahead.
What would you say is like that thing that, because I know you work with women, you coach on a regular basis, and you have for a long time. What have you noticed with women that is that thing that kind of holds them back and holds them stuck, and or just wants to bury those emotions instead of processing them?
Well, to face pain is scary. It takes courage to look at yourself, to see who you really are and what's going on within you. It takes some courage. It's not easy. It takes, some inner work to figure all this stuff out. And when you get to that feeling of the dark night of the soul, it's either fall off the freaking cliff or let's do the work and figure this out. And, a situation like this, I saw bury many women in the sense of 5, 10, 15 years out from their relationship. They were still angry and pissed off and with so much resentment that many of them had serious health issues, cancer, high blood pressure. I said, whoa, I'm not letting that happen to me. That was such a red flag that we needed to figure something out. I needed to figure something out. How can I help me and help them? Because they're sitting in pain and anger, and I'm not going there. So my dark night of the soul inspired me. And I've been through that dark night of the soul once before in my life, and that was with my alcoholism. When I got to that breaking point that I didn't have one more day in me, that's when I had that dark night of the soul, and I heard another voice that said, you can't leave now. You have lessons to learn, and once you master those lessons, you're going to need to go and teach others. Well, here I am again, master the lesson here, figure it out. What's the process? Once you figure it out, you need to go and teach others. And that's what the book is all about. How do we make that circle of transformation from gut-wrenching pain to come back to wholeness and love?
Hi, Genevieve. We've got her here. She said hello. And we've also got Caitlin here. Hello, girl. Thanks for joining us.
It's interesting you talk about this. I was just telling Tarah before we came on that I've been doing a course, and it's about breaking open, ironically. And it's by Rebecca Campbell, who I just happen to love. But she wrote a poem, and I'd love to hear a page of your story. But it just popped up to me when you were talking about this, and how, once we heal that pain and we heal the experience of the breaking open, it allows us to.
I think she paused. Can you still hear me, Mel?
I can hear you.
I think she paused. Hang on. We'll have to try and see if she comes back. So I'm not sure what she was gonna ask next. I'm sure she'll come back. It happens sometimes. So Mel, one of the things that I love that you talked about is love being that inner support and this badge of courage. You've got a quote. I'm just gonna see if I have the right one here. You said, after heartbreak, it is possible to wear your broken heart as a badge of courage and finally live the life as a whole. And as a whole woman, and I just thought that was so beautifully said. What was it at a point that you realized that act of courage and going through that process was like an actual badge, and it was a useful superpower that you could bring in moving forward into your life afterwards?
Well, so many women after a failed marriage or relationship feel like a reject. They feel less than good. They feel diminished in some way. And what I wanted to teach them was, hey, baby, you showed up, you stepped into the arena, you loved greatly. If you didn't, you wouldn't be in pain. So you really put the heart out there and you were vulnerable. That is courage. And therefore, even though this heart may be broken, honey, it's a badge of courage because you are all in. And anytime you're all in, that's courage.
Love it.
Half about it. If you were half-assed, you wouldn't be hurting.
No.
Yeah.
I love it. Half-ass. Mel's always got spice in her.
Relationship, it's like, up great. If he doesn't, that's okay. I'll go plant flowers or something, right? Like it's high on your list of importance of things. We've all had them. I mean,
You go ahead, Tarah.
Oh, well, I didn't know if you wanted to go back into what you were talking about when you Houdini'd out.
Well, no.
When you just disappeared.
It's been ironic because I was watching a documentary the other night about a woman going through dementia, and Hillary Swank was in it, and she was laying in bed crying, and she had her husband next to her, and there hadn't been a betrayal. There was nothing major happening, but she was talking about how, as she's laying there by herself sleeping, how she thought this was just as good as it was going to get. Like, she's married to this man and lying next to this man for 20 years, and she's not connected to him, and she just doesn't know how to do it anymore. So, even with any marriage, any relationship, whether it's friendship, family, a lover, whatever it is, there can always be a moment of heartbreak or brokenheartedness. And I think some relationships can make it through it, whether it's family, friends, and some can't. But finding purpose behind that broken open and finding your ground after it, like you're saying, is just, and you're right, there isn't many resources out there for finding your ground afterwards. And I was just going to read a quick poem, if that's okay, you guys, from this course that I've been taking, because it's exactly what you were saying as well. It says, I pray that you hit rock bottom. I pray that you hit rock bottom, the most painful time in your life. I pray that you feel alone, isolated, deserted, and you discover that what you thought was rock bottom is actually a ledge. So you can come crashing down even further. And as you land, you are cracked open into 1,000,000 pieces. No, 1,000,000,000 pieces. And you have no idea how to put them back together. I pray that while you are down there in the depths, the only person you have to keep you company is you. I pray that you choose to gather up the pieces and, with no idea how and in what order, begin to put them back together, one by one, just right. I pray for foundations mightier than the Acropolis and an inner light that shines so bright it dazzles the corneas of anyone who cannot handle your bright. I pray your skin is as comfortable as a 10-year-old tracksuit on a Saturday night, and an inner light so bright that you can always find your way home. I pray for the triumph of your soul and the return of you. And I think with what you're saying, even, it's so true that even, though it hurts and it sucks and you don't know how to step and you don't know how to breathe or even get out of bed, that the breaking open is a gift. And if you can find what's in that gift, like you have, the changes that can come from that for others around you and for yourself are just, it takes you from living in the life you're born into to the life you were destined or put her purposely to live. So I think it's beautiful what you're doing. And, I think anytime anyone can find the light within the dark, I think it's phenomenal.
There's always an element of expansion when you put all the pieces back together.
Yes.
There's an expansion that we don't look at. So you're a friend that wrote that poem that is absolutely spectacular. I'd love you to send it to me next to her, because that is a beautiful description.
For sure.
It's putting all the pieces back together. Yeah.
And picking those pieces up and looking at each one, because in each one of those is, how that pattern came to be, how you came to be in that relationship, what that means to you. And I think, yeah.
I call it in the book, uncovering your love story. We all have a love story.
Mm-hmm.
Love story is normally created when we're children up until we're about 11 or 12. That's how we learn about love, is from our families. We're domesticated as little children, and we pick up beliefs and opinions and rules and how things should be done from our family, from neighbors, from little friends. And we compile all that data, and it creates lenses that when we're an adult and in a mature relationship, those are the filters we're using. We're processing a current day relationship with an outdated filter.
Yes.
Hello. Now, you wonder why we get into a boatload of trouble?
Yes.
We need to figure out the love story. What is our love story? And I talk about some different profiles in the book, and based on our parents and who was dominant and needs, and it's fascinating that that's the picture of love that we have, that we think is how we're supposed to live. Nope.
Yep.
And Genevieve says, and from Disney movies. And that's so true, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's laid out like, oh, it needs to be exactly this way.
Yes.
Right. One of the things that I find interesting, Mal, and I'd love to hear your perspective on is, as Renee was mentioning earlier, people get into relationships and they're there for a long time. And, she was saying that movie she's watching where she's laying there going, we're not in alignment, or this isn't happening. What's your recommendation for women that are at that stage where they almost feel like they want to be broken open and really tap into what's really true in alignment with them, and so that they can live that passionate soul purpose? But maybe there hasn't been necessarily a betrayal or something that's led them to break.
Well, I saw that movie, and an interesting thing is that her mother did the same thing.
Yeah.
Mother gave up everything, career, everything, to be with that man. And I think women do that. They completely lose themselves in a relationship. They're giving to be with that man, to be in that marriage. And then one day they wake up and they go, who the hell am I? And what's left? They are so depleted. I think if women can keep a better balance, keep their interests, don't give up what's important to them.
Keep their voice.
Express how they feel, don't stuff it. Because when you stuff all those feelings, frustrations, disappointments, it all comes up eventually.
It sure does.
And that's what happened to her. This young woman, the actress in that, Hilary Swank, she had given up everything, just like her mother. Mm-hmm. She had a really good job, and she ended up working in like some chicken manufacturing place, and she felt worthless.
Yeah.
That's what we do as women. We give it all up for the man. Now, I have a philosophy on this. Men are the frosting on the cake, and women need to learn that. Your life, the ingredients that you put into that cake, the quality of your life is dependent on you.
Yeah.
What you're willing to put in there. And so the better the ingredients, the better the cake, and then the frosting that goes on that cake will be fabulous. And it's a delicious experience. But if you ignore the quality of the cake and you try to slap that frosting all over it, you've got an overload of sugar and an overload of frosting, and it's not a good situation. And that's it. Men are the frosting. And as Jennifer was saying, women lose themselves. It's very tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
That was such a fun analogy. We need to make
even
some
going
frosting.
back to that movie, the one thing. Sorry, Tarah. And it's interesting because going back to that movie, it's watching the daughter, and she has so much resentment for her mom, and it's so interesting because I, for myself, I experienced the same thing, and my parents have a healthy relation. Well, as healthy as any relationship can be. But I had for years so much resentment against my mom, and I didn't know what that was for. And it wasn't until the last year or two where I sat back and really looked at that. And I'm like, because I'm not blaming her. Love you, Mom. But it's that she gave up everything. She had no identity. Her identity was us, and it was my dad, and it was keeping a house happy and keeping everybody happy, but losing herself within that. And it wasn't until I started to realize in myself that I had done it too in my marriage. And that's where that resentment came from, is I could see that that's where that pattern started. And it wasn't hers to carry my resentment, but you need to heal that within yourself to stop that pattern from continuing. And, you know, I think books like yours are amazing, because I think it's a way for us as women to start healing ourselves so that our daughters don't have to go through this and experience it and lose themselves within the confines of the icing and the cake.
You realized your love story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What happened? You woke up to it. You said, whoa, what am I doing?
What?
I'm good. Now both those things. And we're
Yes.
all looking at it. Yeah, and that's part of the wake up. Look under the hood. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
The more we learn about ourselves, the more empowered we become to interact with men, to have the relationships, to have great careers. But we need to know what's going on within us, and that's our job.
Yeah.
Mel, so I wanted to ask you, did you have an intention when you wrote the book as a way, because obviously it's a tool for women to use to understand how to heal heartbreak. And I know with Inspired Living Publishing, often there's some journal prompts or things to work through. Was there a way that you wanted women to look at the book or to read it?
I wanted them to see that this could really be done. And there are exercises at the end of every chapter. They're writing prompts, and there's a journal that comes with the book that you can download after you have the book. So I wanted them to understand that this was a very doable process. I just sort of found the pieces and put it together and made it a cohesive plan of how we go through this circle. And, you know, once we recognize the pain and process the pain, now taking, you know, action steps like understanding your love story, looking at your relationship history, kind of figuring all of that out, and then getting to a point where you understand that the only way you're going to have freedom out of this whole thing is if you can forgive. Forgiving ourselves as well as anybody else that has violated us or betrayed us or broken our hearts. You need to be able to forgive that person. And the women that I had seen and worked with and interviewed had never gotten there. They'd never gotten to forgiveness. It was something they couldn't even talk about. So by the time forgiveness comes up in the book, we've done a lot of work on ourselves so that we can now look at that concept of forgiveness and finally getting to wholeness, coming back to the ability to love again.
What is the act? Go ahead. You go ahead, Tarah.
Harley says, live today, not the past. It's the path to a happy future.
So even within forgiveness, like maybe you can give some explanation as for what's in your book and your experience. How does forgiveness look for others and for a partner in a situation as you've experienced or what others are experiencing?
For me, and the way that I explained forgiveness was not letting somebody else off the hook for their behavior or condoning something that was inappropriate. It was freeing the cords of my heart that were tied to the pain of that experience. I chose to cut those cords and say, you know what? This pain is no longer going to be the dominating factor in my life on a daily basis. And it also was writing, you know, almost like a letter to my ex-husband, expressing what I was feeling, but I did it in my journal, but putting all the words down that I wanted to say, but I couldn't talk to him at the time and say it because at this point we were not on good terms. And to be able to say those words and express how I felt and the deep violation that I felt, and all of that was like a cleansing process to, just not be tied to that situation any longer. It was no longer the tail wagging the dog. I had taken back my power at this point, recognized that I had the ability within myself to make that transformation that I needed. And it wasn't going to be predicated on anybody else at this point. It was my job, and I was going to do it. Yeah. So freeing. Yeah, so freeing. And I'm going to give you a kind of well, I talked about it yesterday online. The book is dedicated to my ex-husband.
I love that.
First.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's dedicated to him.
Mm-hmm.
And, he read it before the book was released, and he called me crying, and he said, I just shudder when I read about the pain that I caused you, a woman that I love and still love so dearly, that my unconscious behavior did this to you. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's like true healing.
Ladies, it's 3:33 where I am right now.
And I've got the 3-3 here. Only mine's mountain.
Vibration of the book, 333.
I know. I remember. I saw your video. That was so cool. I loved it.
You know what happened? All of a sudden, I got this nudge. Look at the numerology of all of this. Look at the numerology. And I did, and it went, oh my God, it's 333. That is like divine consciousness. That is coming back to love and letting go of fear. I mean, it was like, I couldn't make this stuff up. That's what the book is about.
I love it. That just gives me chills now that you said all of that. That's amazing. That's so awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, now this has been so amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on this book and to read it and to go through it, because I know you're an amazing writer and you've helped so many people. Could you please just share with everybody where we can get a copy of the book? I know, of course, we can put it in the links below, but it was, again, just released yesterday. Just yesterday.
The book page is brokenopen-book.com. And if you go to that page, you can click right there to go to Amazon, and then you can come back and put your order number in. You're going to get 40 transformational gifts from supporting authors and coaches that all stood up and said, hey, I want to be part of this. I read the book. I love the message. It is so empowering for women. So there's tremendous support. And then inside the book, there is instructions on how to get the journal that works with the book. With every chapter, you can write down all your journaling prompts right there. So that's how you get it, girl, right on Amazon.
I love it. And Genevieve says, you are so courageous, Mal. There is no one coming to rescue us. We must rescue ourselves.
Yes.
So beautiful. Oh, and she put the links in the Dropbox below. Thank you so much, Genevieve. I really appreciate that.
Genevieve.
She rules. It's a soul tribe, the soul tribe.
Yes, it is.
One
thing I'll add. Once you've been brokenhearted, and to be honest with you, I haven't met any women that haven't been. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really a rarity. I interviewed like 250 women before I compiled all of this. We become sisters. We're all connected energetically. When you've been through that and you meet somebody that's been through it, wham, right away, there's an energetic connection between us because we know the pain. We understand. Like, whoa, sister, I get it. I know. I've been there, done that too. Yeah, it's a sisterhood.
It's a validation.
Well, and you had that quote. I have to say it. Love is your inner support. My beautiful sister, you're a magnet for your heart's desires. It was from the book. Yeah, I absolutely love it. Are you like? I want you to like read the open part because I can't see it yet because I don't have my copy. But I don't know if you can do that. They always write such a beautiful form. Yeah, it's always such a beautiful form. But
thank you.
We'll have to. Yeah, I'm just so excited to see it. It's amazing. It's so Inspired Living Publishing always comes together, and Linda, she's amazing. Bryna, like there's just so many there that are just amazing, and I love the energy that goes into every single book that gets published through there. It's just, they're all amazing. They're all amazing, and this book really speaks. I think really interesting too that we're in all this Libra energy, that this is coming out right between this blue moon tomorrow, and so. I think the timing of it is so divine, so divine.
Linda loves to create books, publish books that serve, that really elevate women in very special ways. She has an enormous gift.
I love that.
Well, and so do you. You have an enormous gift, and you wrote. I love both you ladies, but I love you. It's such an honor to have you here.
Wonderful. I feel more whole, complete, stronger, happier than I ever have in my life, and I want women to see that. Look at me. Here I am. I went through the fires of hell. I came out naked, but I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
We're rocking today.
So for women, you go ahead, Tarah.
Oh, when you got lost, I asked her where we'd find the book.
Oh, perfect. I seem to keep bumping off here.
I know, I'm like, we need to end on a chair dance.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. Yeah.
So if you could leave women with one thought from your book, from your experience, from life, what would it be?
When these things happen, like a betrayal or a divorce, a major life challenge, it's not happening because we're supposed to be punished and to live in pain. We're put here to be very happy campers. Really, our divine purpose is happiness, to be loved, to enjoy life. But these challenges are meant to heal something within us that we've been carrying for a very long time. And the only way that we seem to get inspired to do the work is by getting hit on the head. Sadly. Yeah. I probably wouldn't pay attention if a cosmic 2x4 hadn't come by and knocked me to my knees. I probably would have just been going on, living my life with this stuff still buried in me. So it's all about waking up. That's really what it is.
That's so beautifully said, Mal. Oh, thank you so much. We've got ready back. Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Sorry, you guys. I'm not too sure what's going on here. It just keeps popping off.
It's just all magical.
Mm-hmm. It's to let Tarah get a word in edgewise is what it is, really.
She's actually pushing a button and just knocking you.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm the mean sister. Hey, I'm just like, no, she can leave now. Bye. I'm just going to throw her out now. Oh, she's talking too much. I don't know where she went. She disappeared.
Thank you so much, Mal. And we appreciate having you on the show and all your wisdom and your experience and just the love that you bring through your experiences and wanting to share that. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. I'll come back. You know that. I love the two of you.
We love having you.
Oh, we love you. Virtual hugs. Virtual hugs.
Thank you so much for watching. And for everybody who has been watching, you'll find the links below to find Mal's book and find her website. And if you're looking for some coaching, we will share that information as well so you can get in touch with Mal. Thank you so much for watching. We value your time and we hope that you gain some insight and some freedom from the conversation today and some love.
Yes. Love us. Like us.
Yes.
Share with your friends.
Comment below. And we'd be happy to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. And thanks again, Mal, for joining us today. And we look forward to the next book and your next project and having you back on. And get your copy of Broken Open. Yes. Everybody gets a copy. Get your copy. Yes.
Oh, awesome. One up. I didn't even think about it. Wow.
I know, like, where? Yeah, Do you have one so we can see the cover?
I do, but it's over there. I'd have to run over there and get it.
You can run. I can hide you for, yeah. I'll hide you. It's Renee.
Thanks for doing that, Tarah, bumping me off. There's a lot of love behind that.
You're on now.
I am on now.
I was hiding Mal so that we didn't have to see her run away.
That's the secret.
She'll run back.
That's the secret most people don't know is half the time we're in pajama bottoms or sweatpants or.
I have no pants on. I'm just kidding. I think Harley was referring to comment in towards Mal. It's important for men to hear this stuff too. Absolutely.
Yes, I agree. I think it affects
men as well. The same feelings, the same process.
Mm-hmm.
They get betrayed. It happens to them.
Yeah, sure does. Yeah. So let's see this book cover.
Well, look at, I have my proof copy that says, not to be released, but that's it. See the beautiful.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Yeah, love that.
It is beautiful.
Everybody needs to get their hands on this book, whether you're a man or a woman.
And she froze. Okay. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us here today on the SOUL&Social. We'll see you next week. And again, grab Mal's copy of Broken Open. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye.